Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural Devil's Bargain. And I really enjoyed this episode, but there were some things that I felt there were some issues with it, but overall I liked how it advanced the narrative going forward. This was just focused on the fallout from last episode and keeping the season arc going forward and actually leaving us in a pretty interesting place. So, one of the things that was weird was how this episode started out. We see Cass kind of stumbling through the woods and blood coming out of his mouth, and then of course he goes down and passes out. We then see two kids pretty much going, yeah, look, I found a dead body, and they keep poking him and everything, and he gets back up and he's like, what the hell's going on? So he goes back and tries to find Lucifer, and Lucifer's gone. This is kind of strange because it doesn't really explain what happened between the last scene where we saw Lucifer being stabbed and his eyes bugging out. Now granted, we know that there's special circumstances in killing an archangel. This won't completely end him. But then we go to Castiel going in the woods with a bloody mouth, and it's never truly explained how that happened. How he went from pretty much Cass having a blade in Lucifer to him going out in the woods and being as discombobulated as he is. So, of course, he's able to get back to Sam and Dean and give them the lowdown. Of course, Dean's kind of berating him for what he perceives as Cass still acting like Cass. But then we get Cass actually explaining effectively his line of reasoning, going that he figured that Lucifer was weakened, and if he's calling him and asking Castiel for help and having to deal with the Apocalypse Michael trying to get into our dimension, now granted, it's actually pretty smart on Lucifer's part to pretty much keep out the fact that he thinks that it was only one shot with that portal, but it's only a matter of time before Michael figures it out. And of course, Cass and the boys don't know exactly what's going on with it. They don't know all the exact spell and everything. That's a pretty smart move on Lucifer's part to keep that back. But I like how Cass was able to kind of throw that back at me. Listen, I know I've acted stupid in the past, and I'm starting to learn from this, and my idea was to figure out what Lucifer's game plan was, and if all else fails, take him out. Now, granted, he told him about Michael from the Apocalypse world trying to get into here and everything, and of course, saying that the mother was alive, another confirmation of that. And that was when him and Lucifer got captured by Asmodeus. And, of course, they're going, okay, well, we need to figure out what's going on. And their game plan evolves into getting the prophet Donatello to translate the demon tablet, because they don't have the angel tablet, to try and figure out how to get through the worlds to try and get to Jack and their mom. And of course, Cass being like, I made a promise to protect Jack, to protect Kelly's son, and I'm going to do that. And it's kind of cool to see Castiel being being a little bit more even in how his objectives are, because we've seen him go, I'm going to rule heaven, and I'm going to essentially become God in the season 6 kind of thing, and then having to deal with the fallout of having to do that war and taking the annihilation of so many angels and everything, to, of course, season 7 with the Leviathans and all the stuff going throughout that. He's showing, at least in this episode, a lot more growth, and I like that, character-wise, from him, and seeing that he's got a clear objective. He wants to help Jack become the best that he can be, and, of course, keep his promise to Kelly. So, of course, they get Donatello to, and it's a really smart move going, alright, we don't have the angel tablet, but there could be something in here in this demon tablet. I'm just wondering if it could potentially be kind of like a flip coin kind of effect of, okay, you might need, I don't know, a Prince of Hell or something in this one? I don't know, because you always got to think, there has to be more than one way to skin a cat to get and use these kind of powers to get through dimensions. So we'll have to see how that kind of pans out. While this is going on, we also get a check-in with Asmodeus and Ketch. And Asmodeus is like, alright, we lost Lucifer. I thought it would be prudent to keep him, but of course that was kind of stupid. Ketch calls him out on that, and he acknowledges it, and pretty much sets Ketch out to go kill the devil. Like, put that on my line, take that out? Sure, yeah, I got that, since Lucifer is weakened. And then that puts us out to the kind of bulk of the episode of Lucifer and dealing with his stuff. We see him deal with the fallout of pretty much becoming human because of how much grace he's lost and being injured by Cass like he was, and being kind of pissed off and everything, and learning all this stuff from this guy with this leg that he wants to get healed. And while he's trying to do that, he's also taken out a Cupid because he's going, alright, stealing grace as well. And of course he takes the grace and then kills him in Lucifer-like fashion of punching him through the chest. It's like, jeez. So he gets this tip that there's this faith healer, Sister Joe. When he gets more information that there's this healing glow around, you're like, oh, okay. So he goes off. But of course, since he has killed this person in this way, that gets on the boys' radar, and they go out to investigate. And they're like, oh, okay. And I like that it was a Cupid that they did it with. It was pretty interesting seeing him doing his job, and then of course Lucifer taking him out. And they get there, they see it, and goes, okay, the way it's on his throat, alright, Lucifer's around here, probably siphoning off grace. While this is going on, we then get to Lucifer seeing Sister Joe doing all these miracles, and we find out that she's an angel, NIL. And of course Lucifer's getting ready to just take the grace and all that, but we find out that she's more of a prudent businesswoman. She is charging people for these miracles that she's performing, and she's actually liking being on Earth. Granted, she didn't like the complete fall thing, but we've learned that she was just a button pusher. Now, granted, that's a little bit later in the episode, but there's a reason she's on Earth, because she can actually do things rather than, okay, a soul comes in, you push a button, and it's, okay, go through, blah, 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 blah. And she then proposes to Lucifer to not completely take her grace, but just feed off of her. And he goes, alright, sure. That way he has a constant source and he can heal up, let them heal, and start building up everything. And of course, the boys figure out about Sister Joe, and here's another kind of issue I had. You start to get into a pattern when you're watching these kind of shows, and you're like, okay, let's see. If it is about 45 minutes into the show, you got a good chance of potentially getting a confrontation between them and Lucifer. But since this is about 20 minutes in or so, it's going, alright, they're going to get to this church and they're going to find Ketch. And what do you know? They do. And Ketch tries to say, alright, listen, we need to kind of like work together and everything. And of course the boys are like, no. And Ketch just boops him and they just put him in the trunk, and the Impala's like, yeah, that's pretty good. So they're going around trying to find Lucifer and Sister Joe. So, of course, we see that Sam had put out a hit on her credit card and found it, so they're puttering over to the motel. We also get a scene where Asmodeus is able to find Donatello, and, of course, he's figuring out all this stuff that's going on, and Donatello went out to get chicken because he was explaining that when he was doing this one kind of work, he needed like so many buckets of chicken wings to get him through it. And of course Asmodeus starts learning what he's trying to do, trying to figure out how to get to the other world and translating the demon tablet, and then telling him to forget everything, because he appeared to him as Cass at first to gain his trust, but then once he's figuring out what he's actually doing with the demon tablet, he makes him go into kind of a trance and says, alright, you're going to keep me informed and you're going to forget this ever happened. And he takes the chicken wing from him, and I just thought it was funny because he looks like Colonel Sanders. People refer to him as Colonel Sanders, and we finally got a kind of, at least in-universe kind of thing of like, yeah, he looks like Colonel Sanders. Here's the chicken and everything. Okay. So, Asmodeus has been doing some pretty smart moves within this show, at least in my opinion, aside from not accurately trying to hold Lucifer. So, of course, the boys are able to find Lucifer and NIL, we had already gotten some scenes since Lucifer was feeding on her grace, her wanting to do more. She had ideas of how to run heaven and nobody would listen to her. And, of course, Lucifer's trying to deal with everything that's going on. He explaining about his side, about always wanting to fit in. She said that she wants to be an individual, and he wants to fit in with what's going on, talking about his father, him being a father and all that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And the main weak point is I don't feel that there's much character depth to NIL at the moment. She's just kind of basic. I hope that they flesh her out going forward, because she could be an interesting character. But, of course, they get her on her, Sam lures her out with a phone like, oh, we need to check your card again and everything. And they're going, all right, let's go and take out Lucifer. But, of course, they don't know how powered up he is because NIL has lied to them. And he pretty much takes them out effectively, is hitting them with the angel power to make them feel pain. But that's, of course, when Ketch is broken out of the Impala and throws a demon bomb. But, of course, they warp away before it can do anything. And it's, oh, okay. He's like, well, I tried to save you, okay? Ketch, interesting, at least the way he's playing at this point. Because he goes, all right, listen, I'm working with Asmodeus. I want to kill the devil. Let's work together, all right? If I told you this, that means I can feed you guys information. Which sets up an interesting counterpoint since Asmodeus has sent up Donatello to be a source of information for him from the boys as well. So, okay. Now, granted, Ketch is an asshole. But I like how they're building him up to be kind of another Crowley. There's always more room for these kind of frenemy relationships that the Winchesters have. It adds an air to unpredictability. So, that's where they're at. They're going, alright, the next time this comes up, alright, we'll work together. He's got the best case scenario. We'll have some information from demons. Since we've lost Crowley, it'll work out. Then we get to the big revelations towards the end of the episode. The NIL takes Lucifer pretty much to the angels in charge of heaven and pretty much offers him the deal, the devil's bargain of this episode. He goes, alright, well, I know that you guys don't have your wings and you need more angels. I'm an archangel. I saw God make angels and everything, so put it this way. You put me in charge. You amp me up. Yeah. I'll take care of everything. And at first they're kind of scoffing and everything, but we get to the end of the episode and we see that they are bowing to him. He is on the throne, NIL by his side. So we're like, oh, okay. They made the deal with the devil. And I love that I'm watching it. I'm like, this is a literal deal with the devil. Grant, this is going to serve his own purposes. He just got one of the things that he wanted, which I love that it's a nice kind of flip in that he's now ruling in heaven, and we've got Asmodeus in hell, and Asmodeus doesn't even have an idea of what's going on, because at the end he's like, hell to the king, baby, and his eyes are back to their usual, so they powered him up. I would like to know how they did that, because we never really know how angels are able to recharge their grace or whatnot, but it still makes for a better portion, a better story for Lucifer to be fully powered up to defend against a Michael incursion, and also a good villain role for Jack to kind of fight against. So, that was a big development. That I really liked. That's like, wow. The angels are so pressed that they have decided to side with Lucifer to help them. We'll have to see how that works out. That's a good part that I'm really, really intrigued to see. Then at the end, we see Ketch giving an update to Asmodeus, being like, well, I don't know where Lucifer is, but we got to get to him before he gets powered up. And Asmodeus goes, well, I kind of went on my own kind of errand, and I'm going to show you kind of what I got. It's an Archangel Blade. And Ketch is like, well, that's all good and all, but I thought that where I read, you need to be an Archangel using the Archangel Blade to kill another Archangel. And he goes, yeah, that's right. And then we get a really big reveal, and he goes, we go to his cell, and we see Gabriel's alive, with his mouth sewn shut. Now, at first I'm like, oh, who could it be? Could it be Adam that they have twisted and warped Michael? And it was Gabriel. Now, I like Gabriel's character. But it goes, especially in these last couple seasons, of bringing back people from the dead and just kind of undoing those the consequences of those deaths, and just because the way Gabriel went out, facing his brother where he'd usually been hiding, facing Lucifer, was a powerful death that he'd given the boys a chance to run, and I don't want that to be diminished with this return. So hopefully we get a good explanation of how Gabriel's here, how Asmodeus has him in his custody, and what Asmodeus' plans are for this against Lucifer, against Apocalypse World Michael, and how the boys and Jack and Mary and everybody's going to kind of deal with this, because this introduced a lot of different things, and this is a pretty good point to be at, and hopefully we get some pretty good stories out of this. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.